Hello guys, welcome to my channel. So today I will be explaining you in this video is ecology. It will be useful for all your one-day competitive exams. So guys, what is ecology? If you look at this word ecology, logy means study. So basically it is study of how we living organisms interact with them, how they are dependent on each other, study on that, and also study on how these organisms are dependent on their environment. So study on how organisms interact with one another and their physical environment is called ecology. This ecology is a branch of biology. And guys, over here, when we talk about environment, so in environment there comes two factors that are biotic factors and abiotic factors. So guys, now what are biotic factors? So biotic factors are living things. Biotic factors are living things. Now living things are those who can respire, reproduce, grow, move. Okay, so these living things are called biotic factors like we humans, fishes, fungi, amoeba, animals, worms, insects. All these are called living things and they are biotic factors. So guys, these biotic factors are of three types: producers, consumers, and decomposers. Now, what are producers? So, producers are those components that can make their own food. Like plants, green plants. Those are the only components who can make their own food. Why? Because of chloroplast. With the help of chloroplast and through the process photosynthesis, they make their own food. So all green plants are producers. And then comes consumers. So consumers are those who consumes food that is made by plants. And these consumers are divided into primary consumers, secondary consumers, and tertiary consumers. Now, primary consumers. So, primary consumers are those who are directly dependent on producers. Like, look at this grasshopper. Grasshopper is directly dependent on grass for its food, and grass is a producer. Grass makes its own food, and grasshopper is dependent on grass, so it is primary consumers. Secondary consumers are those who are dependent on primary consumers. Look over here. I told you grasshopper is a primary consumer. Why? Because it is directly dependent on producer. But mouse is a secondary consumer. Why? Because mouse have his food as grasshopper. So mouse is a secondary consumer. Why? Because he is having a primary consumer as his food. Okay, so those who are dependent on primary consumers for food are called as secondary consumers. Look at this: wolf, peacock, fox. This all are secondary consumers. Why? Because this all are dependent on this worms, insects, and this worms, insects are dependent on producers like grass and many other things. So secondary consumers are those who are dependent on primary consumers for their food. Now, tertiary consumers. So, tertiary consumers are those who are dependent on secondary consumers. For example, lion, tiger, etc. Even humans comes under tertiary consumers. As I told you, biotic factors are divided into producers, consumers, and now decomposers. So, decomposers are those who decomposes dead materials, like for example, amoeba, fungi. this all decomposes dead material. Basically, this dead material is their food. They have that dead material and convert this dead material into physical elements like water, carbon, nitrogen, phosphorus. So decomposers are those who decomposes dead material and convert them into physical element. An example for this is amoeba, fungi. Now, abiotic factors. So, abiotic factors are like air, temperature, humidity, light, radiation, water, soil, acidity. Basically, these all are chemical and physical part of our environment. Okay, and this all affects our living. Like temperature affects our living, air affects oxygen, affects our living, carbon dioxide affects our living, light, radiation, water, acidity, soil, this all affects our living. But they aren't living things, okay? They don't respire, nor they reproduce. So they are abiotic, but they are chemical and physical part of the environment, and they affect living organisms and the functioning of ecosystem. So they are called as abiotic factors. Now last, food chain. So what is food chain? So food chain is transfer of food. It is a network of transfer of food. If you are transferring food, that means you are transferring energy. So it is a network of transfer of food and energy from producers to the decomposers. Okay, and again the process starts like from producer to decomposer, again from producer to decomposer. This network is called as food chain.